UFC Fight Night Josh Emmett versus Leroy Murphy took place last night, which means it's time for me to recap the entire card. I went 8-4 total on the card. You know, Leroy Murphy took home a decision win in the main event, but we'll get to that later. I'm going to start with the first fight, and we're going to move up the card. First fight of the night, we had Vanessa Demopoulos versus Talita Alencar. Oh man, what a fight to start the card. Talita Alencar beat Vanessa Demopoulos. I thought Demopoulos was a great play at -110, but guess shows I should never have faith in women's MMA. You know, just sucks when it backfires like that. Usually when I have faith in these women's MMA fighters, they win. But you know, not Demopoulos. I guess she looked the worst she's ever looked in her career. Alencar just beats her up, takes her down at will, gets home a decision victory. Next fight. I don't want to spend more time on that one. Martin Buday versus Yuran Satibaldiev. I was close to picking Satibaldiev before I went back and went back and watched his past two LFA fights, the Bruno Assis fight and the Suarez fight. Those were enough to make me pick Martin Buday. Also with the knowledge of him weighing in at 220 pounds and Buday coming in at the heavyweight limit of 265. That also kind of changed things a bit. Satibaldiev shot a takedown at some point. Buday showed off his 100% takedown defense. This guy still has 100% takedown defense, guys. Is that not insane? Martin Buday has some of the best takedown defense stat-wise in the UFC. I just want to point out. That's insane. Anyways, Buday takes home that decision victory. Pretty close fight, but Satibaldiev got a shoe in the door, gave up his 9-0 record. Now undefeated fighters in 2025 are 7-17. I'm pretty sure if I have that number correct. So not looking good for the undefeated guys. Martin Buday takes the donut from Yuran Satibaldiev. Next fight on the card, Pedro Falcao versus Victor Henry. Victor Henry gets a round 1 knockdown, beats him up over 3 rounds, doesn't get the finish, but takes home a concise decision victory over Pedro Falcao. Easy money there. He was only a -200. And we move on to the next fight. Luma Lookboonmee versus Estela Nunes. She was a -1,000 over Estela Nunes. And, I mean, for the first round, it didn't really look like it. Estela Nunes was snapping out some kicks and a jab and maybe a peppery right hand. Luma Lookboonmee, she was having a little troubles getting in on her. And Estela Nunes, she was just hips and high. And, you know, she was showing off her cardio kickboxing, what she's been working on, you know, in the gym. The cardio kickboxing queen. But she didn't get it done. You know, Luma Lookboonmee set into the fight in the second and third round, gets that decision victory, as I said. You know, her money line was -1,000. Her decision prop was like -180. So that was way more playable. I think I highlighted that in the betting episode too. But yeah, Luma Lookboonmee gets the decision victory over Estela Nunes. Next fight, Rhys McKee versus Daniel Frunze. This surprised me a bit. You know, Rhys McKee, maybe I got to give him some credit. He did go to a split decision with Chidi and Jaquani. He only really lost to Hamzat Chimaev. I think I'm forgetting one more, but Daniel Frunze did not look good here. He got knocked down 3 times in the first round. They were scrapping, like they were swinging. The first 30 seconds in, Rhys McKee's face was beat red from some of the punches he had already taken from Daniel Frunze, but he keeps throwing, and he lands a nice combo on Daniel Frunze, knocks him down once, a little bit of ground and pound. He gets up, knocks him down again. Frunze was on wobbly legs for like 30, 40 seconds after he got knocked down the first time, and then he gets knocked down the second time. Frunze gets back up, trying to recover, takes a bit more. McKinney knocks him down a third time. The round actually ends, and it's a doctor stoppage because if you saw Frunze's eye, his eye was pretty much closed after just 1 round of action here. Like this was a brutal first round between McKee and Daniel Frunze here. So good win for Rhys McKee. I got to give this guy a bit more credit than I've been in the past, which, you know, that's a staple. I say that all the time. Next fight, Barbosa versus Diana Belbita. I told you guys this was going to be an effortless submission win for Barbosa. You know, they were scrapping on the feet a bit. Barbosa backed her down to the fence and got a takedown and the fight was over after she got that takedown. She fights for a triangle with, there was like a minute 10 seconds left in the round when she got her down, I think, and took her like no time at all to fight for this triangle and set it in. And then Belbita, I mean, as you see in the picture there, she's throwing her leg up over, trying to like get a bit more space in the choke, but you know, it wasn't enough. She ended up tapping to the choke, and yeah, this was an effortless pick. Again, Barbosa was a huge favorite, and her submission prop at the start of the week was plus money. It was plus 130 at the start of the week. It finished closing time at like minus 130. So that was where the money was made here. Barbosa submission, great win. Next fight on the card, oh my god. Therese Finney versus Robert Valentine. An incredible showing from Therese Finney. This really shows Dana White why he was offered a contract in the UFC. You know, he really came in and just showed he belongs here. No, in all realness, you know, he got some takedowns off. No damage. He landed 4 strikes. They have him tallied at in the entire fight. They have him tallied at 4 strikes in the entire fight. And Robert Valentine, one judge gave him a 30-27. So they were trying to rob Therese Finney. But Therese Finney looked terrible here. You know, he had a terrible showing, just no damage at all. Just Dana White might have a case to just let this dude go. Who knows? He's let people go for far less than Therese Finney. And he doesn't like him already from Dana White Contender Series. So we'll see what happens to the triple champion, Therese Finney. Now 10-0, I think. But good win for her. It was a win. It gets a tick in the win column. But good win, I don't know about that. I don't know. Next fight, Ode Osborne versus Luis Garul. This was a banger, honestly. Like, it started off slow, but then out of nowhere, Ode Osborne is just bopping this dude, knocking him down, nearly gets a walk-off KO, and then just some ground and pound. And it was like, it came out of nowhere, man. It was like, I love having those out of nowhere knockout moments, and I was not expecting in this Ode Osborne fight at all. Good job for Ode Osborne to get back in the win column here. I think Dax on the Sparring Sessions podcast might have said Ode Osborne was a value play at plus 500. I think he did say that. So good job to Dax there. He definitely saw something I didn't. And yeah, Ode Osborne back in the win column. Good job to him. Big win over Luis Garul by KO. We move on to the next fight. Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert. I thought Tavares was going to be washed, you know. He got knocked out by Bruno Silva, guys. I get, he went to war with Israel Adesanya how many years ago, but Gerald Meerschaert, he did stick in there until the end, but Tavares was just too good on the feet, and Gerald Meerschaert couldn't really implement his grappling. In the third round, he did have the back a few times, but Tavares was able to stay on the feet, deny the takedown attempts, and just neutralize any offense from Gerald Meerschaert. So good win for Brad Tavares. I still don't think he's going to be up to much. Next fight, Chang Ho Lee versus Cortavius Romeus. This was honestly a pretty good fight up until the finish. Pretty back and forth. Romeus got cut pretty early on in the first round. He was bleeding from his head, but you know, he was game. He was still sticking in there. And at one point he got, I think it was kicked in the nuts, I think. And they were asking, or it might have been it was an eye poke, I think it was, or something like that. And they asked him if he needed more time to recover, and he's like, no, let's go. Let's do it. I'm ready. And he said something like that. And it was a cool moment. But Cortavius Romeus just was outmatched here. Chang Ho Lee was just better in most of the grappling transitions, ended up on top. And it was like Romeus would be in a control position. I might look away for a second or two, and then Chang Ho Lee is back up on top by just this 2 seconds I look back. Chang Ho Lee's already back on top position, in a position like that. Like, he was in this position for a lot of the fight, on top of Cortavius Romeus, just beating on him. And the referee ends up stepping in. Unfortunate for Cortavius Romeus, but good job, Chang Ho Lee. We move on to the co-main event. the parlay breaker itself. Pat Sabatini versus Joanderson Brito. This one made me really upset, I won't lie. This one made me incredibly upset. I thought Joanderson Brito was going to beat up Pat Sabatini. I thought if Pat Sabatini shot in, Joanderson Brito would snatch up the neck. But I mean, that actually turned out to be the crux of this fight. You know, that turned out to be what lost Joanderson Brito the fight. Him just pulling these guillotines the entire time. It was a bad move from him. He shouldn't have done it. He should have realized after the first round when he was pulling the guillotine that he was losing the grappling moments, and he should not give up. He should not give up bottom position, you know, for a cheeky submission that most likely is not going to get it. But he kept going for it. Round one, he pulls a ghillie, and Pat Sabatini ends up on top and just rides out the round. Round two, he does the same thing from a takedown attempt, and then same thing round three. Joanderson Brito looked like in round three he almost maybe had I don't want to say hurt, but I think he caught him with something that made Pat Sabatini go, oh shit, let's go back to the ground. Why not? And when Pat Sabatini shot back on Joanderson Brito in the third round, Joanderson Brito, instead of denying the takedown and keeping it on the feet, he goes, yeah, no, I'll pull another ghillie. After the first 2 rounds, I've been out-controlled on the ground completely at will. I'll just give up my back again in the third round. Joanderson Brito threw this fight. He threw this fight. Like, this was a sad showing from Joanderson Brito. I don't ever want to hear his name mentioned again. He's a nobody to me now. He's a nobody to me. This guy doesn't matter. You lose to William Gomi and Pat Sabatini back-to-back. Cut this dude from the fucking sport. I don't give a fuck. Who cares about Joanderson Brito at this point? Anyways, moving on to the main event. Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. Oh, man. And this was probably the craziest moment of the entire fight. Josh Emmett just hoisting Lerone Murphy above his head and just dropping him pretty much to the mat. There was a belly-to-belly suplex somewhere in this card. I'm completely forgetting to mention. Someone belly-to-belly suplexed someone at some point in this card. I cannot remember which fight. It might have been Luis Garul before he got knocked out. But I remember now that I'm thinking of this takedown. There was a belly-to-belly suplex someone landed in this card. But anyways, Josh Emmett picked up Lerone Murphy and just dumped him. Where he has him over his shoulder, that's where Josh Emmett let go of Lerone Murphy and just let him dump to the mat. And Lerone just landed there, and it was the funniest moment of the entire fight. But mostly Lerone Murphy is just kind of moving around, running away. Josh Emmett was saying Lerone Murphy was running away from him in the 5th round. He was like, Josh Emmett, the 5th round's like doing the Max Holloway. Like, come on, stand here. I'm down 3 rounds to you right now. Stand here so I can win. And Lerone's just circling the cage, just on the back pedal. And Josh Emmett's like, at one moment, Josh Emmett turns and runs the other way, like in like a hyperbolic, mocking gesture towards Lerone Murphy, you know? It was kind of funny that way, but Lerone Murphy ends up taking the decision win. They're in the apex, and they are roaring down the boos to Lerone Murphy. Is there that big of a crowd in the apex? It filled up the fucking broadcast with boos. Like, it sounded like a full stadium worth of boos was coming down on Lerone Murphy in the apex. It didn't make sense to me. Like, I heard the boos, and I'm like, what the fuck? Are the coaches booing Lerone Murphy right now? Because that's what it sounded like. And then Lerone Murphy's pointing towards the other side of the cage, and he's like, yeah, well done for 16-0. Oh, easy money, easy work. And, like, they're just booing him. They're just booing the fuck out of him. And it's like, you're in the apex. Was the 20 people watching the fight in the apex all booing Lerone Murphy? Because that'd be a bad look. But Lerone Murphy takes home the decision win. Pretty boring fight overall. Pretty boring card overall, I won't say. I went 8-4 total. I was halfway through my stream, I was kind of out of it. I was just wanting to... The card was dragging on from... What moment? Like, The Ode Osborne one was good, but I mean the card was already dragging since the main card dragged. You know, Finney made the card drag. Finney ruined the card, I think, because it wasn't a bad like it wasn't a bad card before then. These fights weren't bad. Like the Budai fight, it was back and forth. The Victor Henry fight, there was a knockdown. This fight was kind of it's a women's fight. The McKee fight early finish, like it was a good that was a good back and forth brawl. This was an early finish. It was like this one is the Torres finish slowed the card right down for me, and then it just continued to drag. This was a good finish, but then this dragged on. This fight was it kind of dragged on a bit, but it turned out to be a finish. Pat Sabatini made me question my will to live, and then the main event kind of dragged. Like the second half of the card dragged heavily. It just dragged on. So I will give it a 6 out of 10. That was my pre card rating, and that will be my post card rating. I think I rated the card perfectly. It might actually get a 5 out of 10. Now that I say it might get a 4 out of 10. I don't think it was that good. But yeah, that's the card recap. Let me know what you guys thought. We'll be back here soon for UFC 314. Ooh, Diego Lopez versus Alexander Volkanovski. Cannot wait for that. Anyways, let me know what you thought of the card and of my picks and the recap. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.